It's on the North Atlantic, so the wind is very, very strong. Well, the idiom of the day. Idiom of the day. We talked about yesterday, get on, get off, put on, put off. Do you know what we mean by right away?
Right now.
Right away.
Right away. Right away. Right now, right away.
Yeah. Who said right now? Yeah. Right away.
Right now.
Yeah. It means right now, immediately. Yeah. Like we will we'll start class right away, right now. Another way of saying it is not as common. Straight away. Right away means right now. Straight away means pretty soon, but not right now. So, for example, you'll ask me, well, when are we going to have our break? I would say, well, we'll have our break straight away. Pretty soon, but not right now. So, this is right away means immediately. And straight away means pretty soon. Pretty soon. Not immediately, but soon enough. So you knew that one.
Pretty soon and very soon is the same.
Which?
Very soon and pretty soon.
Yeah, they would be the same. And you see, pretty, when we think of pretty, we think of appearance, beauty, right? If someone is pretty, like if we referred to a woman as pretty, we mean that they have a very pleasing appearance. But we can also, pretty also can mean very. Like if we're going down a real steep set of steps, we could say, well, that's pretty steep, you know. Or if we were going up a real steep set of steps, say, well, that's pretty steep, you know. When I was at Angkor Wat, I went up a set of steps, you know, to the top of the stupa, and I was going up these steps, and they were like, you know, a very steep angle. I was thinking to myself, it's pretty steep, meaning very steep, meaning very steep.
Teacher, how about the resume?
What?
Resume. S-E-R-E-R-E-S-U-M-E.
Spell it again.
Yep. R-E-S-U-M-E. Yes. R-E-S-U-M-E.
S-U-M-E. S-E, reuse?
M sir M-E
S-E?
M
F?
M
M.
I share.
Oh, resume,
Yes.
resume,
Yes.
resume.
Yes.
Yeah, resume. Resume means to return to whatever you were doing.
Very soon, right?
Yeah, so let's say we're talking about idioms. We're talking about idioms, and then somebody asks me about my trip to see what Kao yesterday, and so I start talking about that. And then after a while I will say, well, let's resume talking about idioms. Yeah, resume means to return to what we were doing before. Resume. Resume. Now, you will also see you will see in English the verb. This is a verb. Resume. We will resume doing whatever we were doing. It's a verb. But you will see a word that has little marks like resume. It's spelled the same. It's spelled the same. And it's actually a French word that we have borrowed from French into English. And it means a summary of all of your professional experience. So if you apply for a position, you're applying for a job, you would give the employer your resume, which lists all of your previous jobs, lists all of your skills, lists all of your professional references. That would be a resume. So, spelled the same way, but they mean entirely different things. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So right away, straight away. Well, direct speech, indirect speech. Do you know what I mean by direct and indirect? Like if I say something to you and I'm very clear, I'm very emphatic about the meaning, then that's considered to be direct. Indirect is the way I say something, but the meaning is still clear, but it is not as straightforward. Let me show you an example by direct and indirect speech. With direct speech, sometimes we will say what someone else has said. We're quoting someone. So here, let's say Brother John, the teacher next door. The teacher said, quotation mark, to learn a new language, we must practice every day, quotation mark. What that means is that I'm telling you what he said word for word. Am I clear? You understand? So this is called a direct quotation. I am quoting him. Do you know that word, quote? A quotation. A quotation is when you repeat someone that someone else said word for word. Word for word. So, if Brother John said, to learn a new language, we must practice every day. And I wanted to tell you what he said, word for word. I don't want to change his words. I want to say what he said, word for word. I would say, the teacher, said. And then I put a quotation mark here, which means these are his words, not my words, these are his words, word for word. To learn a new language, we must practice every day. So notice there is a quotation mark there and a quotation mark there. This means that what he said is his exact words started here, and his exact words end here. So that's a quotation. Now, a verb of this is to quote. Quote is a verb. So if you say, if you wanted to repeat what I said word for word, you would quote me. So I say, if I say, there were too many tourists at Wat Po Keo. Is that how you say that? Wat Po Keo. Okay. There were too many tourists there. And you wanted to repeat what I said word for word. You would say, James said, quote, there were too many tourists at Wat Po Keo. Quotation mark. So to quote is a verb. You would quote me. But what I said was a quotation. So this would be a noun.